Thank you and welcome everyone. As you saw in the video, pharma industry is growing and skilling requirements are increasing. So we are here for the continuous pharmaceutical education. First of all, let me welcome our speaker for today, Ms. Gauri, and then our chief mentor, Vivek sir. And the topic for today is 3 basic rules of effective content creation. And now we start the session for today. Let me introduce in brief our speaker for today. Most of us here must be knowing about Ms. 𝘂𝙧 Chaudhary, but I'll just speak a few lines about her. A healthcare and pharma brand strategist with over 27 years of experience in healthcare marketing, advertising, and branding. She is also an author of Amazon bestseller, The Perfect Pill, 10 Steps to Build a Strong Healthcare Brand. Her courses are based on her vast experience in marketing, branding, and advertising across the genre of healthcare brands. So it is now the time that I hand over the session to Gauri ma'am. Otherwise, we will overshoot the time. So over to you, Gauri ma'am, and we look forward to learning from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Swati, and thank you so much, Vivek sir. It's my pleasure and what an honor that on your first session of such important day when you are starting continuous pharma education, and I'm so thrilled and honored to be part of this particular program. My pleasure to interact with lovely audience of Pharma State, and so looking forward to interactive session and understanding your views, putting forward my views here. So let me share my screen now. Swati, if my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what is very important in today's world, probably for every brand, is to keep our customers engaged. And what else is it that one can do to keep them engaged than having very engaging content? And this is not a thing that only one industry is facing, but across the industries, it has become very critical to communicate with customers with a content which is valued by them. So before I actually start my session, I would just like to say one small incident. Basically, a few years back, I mean, I still remember many years back, I must say now, that it was my first day in pharma industry. I had just joined a prestigious pharma company, and my first day in the company coincided with the last day of a senior medical representative. He was retiring that day and a function was arranged. And basically on that day, in that function, he narrated his early days in the company, the pride he felt to be representative, the training that he had taken, and the command he had on the subject. And it was his retiring day, and he was remembering all those wonderful days. His territory was large. He talked about how he used to travel from Mumbai to Manmad by a train, and at whichever station the train stopped, doctors would gather. And the medical representative, the one who was retiring that day, and I'm talking about somebody who was 60 years old, 30 years back. So this MR would give a small speech about the therapy and the treatment and all the related subject. And doctors would just gather there. They would be full of questions. And this particular medical representative, that they also said that how these doctors would request motorman and the guard of the train to delay the train just by a few minutes so that they can listen to this person a little extra time. So in today's world, or in today's terminology, I would say that it was the content that he and his company was creating and sharing that attracted the customers or attracted these doctors to the train station. Of course, a lot has changed. We cannot expect any doctor or any HCP, any stakeholder to give that kind of time and attention to pharmaceutical communication. But having said that, it is indeed a very important part, and particularly after this pandemic, that we do kind of engage our customers with valuable content. The question is still, how do we do that? How do we travel from that once upon a time day where doctors would just wait for medical representative, not only to give samples, not only to share his products knowledge, but it also to engage very actively with them. And see, where have we come today? Today, we see these kind of signs outside the hospitals or some of the clinics where they say the sales reps are not allowed, or maybe outside of the OPD where a medical executive is not allowed, kind of board is put. It really pains. It pains one because it's not only that is a requirement of the medical representative to be there, but it is also a requirement of the entire healthcare ecosystem to learn and understand from them. But for that purpose, it's our responsibility to create the content and create, of course, the products and the brands which are valued by our customers. Sometime back, I came across this particular article, and this article particularly talked about how hospitals should start charging medical representatives for their visits. What surprised me was more than this charging was the counterpoints that were put. The counterpoints put by the experts here were that poor medical representative, he or she is doing his or her job. We can't be so harsh to them. Spare a thought for them. And I don't think that was the right kind of counter argument. Medical representatives, pharma companies, and the brands are doing a lot more than just doing their jobs. They are helping, or they should be helping, the patients and the doctors, and basically the outcome is the better health results. And the pharma company, the pharma brands, the pharma management, including the medical representative, together are playing that role. And that's our responsibility together to get that pride back of being part of this industry and not being treated like someone who has to be pitied upon or someone who is kind of harassing. So how do we do that? Lot has changed from those early days of the medical representative I talked about, for whom doctors used to come on the train station. We have many more brands in the market. There is Google out there. So nobody is looking at pharma brand to do that information provided role. But nobody can take away from us is the role as a value provider. Today, unfortunately, the 4 Ps of marketing have become please, 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 and please. Please, doctor, prescribe my brand. And that has to change. A lot has gone probably in a wrong direction, but thanks to this pandemic, we have come back to something very basic, and that's adding value. Adding value at every level, including that of content. So can pharma brand reclaim its position as the most sought after partner, be it physically or digitally? The answer is one resounding yes. Yes, that can be done. One of the many solutions to the current problem could be resolved by creating content that is valued by the customers. I'm not taking away from the fact that there are many other ways of bringing that value to the healthcare ecosystem. But one of the fundamental values can also come from creating content that not only engages customers, but they value it so that they look forward to the company's representative coming and talking to them about it. Okay. So there is this irony in today's world. We have these busy doctors, we have busy patients, we have busy people all across, all busy stakeholders. And yet the irony is, in the world of information overload, people are hungry for genuine information. And this is the problem. Like, all of us have faced this when out there in the market. Probably there is so much of information on COVID, but so much of it is only noise. If you really want to understand the nitty-gritties of any healthcare or any other subject, be it politics, social, economical, first you have to deal with the noise. And therefore, there is a big role or big need for having genuine content, and such genuine content is definitely valued. So let's begin with saying, what is the content at the first place? Content is the information directed towards an audience through any medium. And that's the basic definition of content. Most of the times, this word is used in terms of digital medium, and rightly so. And this word is more used in digital marketing so that customers remain engaged. But does that mean it has no value in the physical world? No, it has absolute value, and the entire omni-channel experience is about digital and physical engagement and value addition through the content that one creates. Now, what is content creation? Content creation is the process of generating, creating information or knowledge ideas that appeal to the customers. It can be in written format, visual format, audio format, or experiential format, but which can be delivered physically or digitally. But the basic necessity for any content is that it should be valued by the customers, because that's the only reason for which you generate it. So in the past 18 months, there has been this frenzy. You would have heard everybody asking, how do I reach to my doctor? How do I stay connected with my doctor? What will happen so that my doctor would want to talk to me either physically or digitally? And how do we reach to customers? I often get this question from my friends. Is that, is there any way that we reach out better? Is there any way we reach to our customers better? But I feel this question is basically putting cart before the horse. Doctors are not engaging. It's not about what we should do. Should it be webinar? Should it be email? Should it be a WhatsApp message? That's not the how part of it. The bigger question is that what would you say so that whenever you connect with your customers, they want to stay connected? So the question is, what value are you providing? And to answer any value question, the first thing you have to answer, why are you doing what you are doing? Some of you might have heard this Dude's Law. Is there anyone quickly in the chat box? Yes or no? Has anyone heard of Dude's Law? Okay. This law is basically any value can get created by why upon how. When what you say, or rather when you focus on what you are doing and why is it important, and the how part of it takes relatively lesser weightage compared to why. Only after you have answered why very clearly, then the value gets created. Please bear with me. It doesn't mean that how you do it is not important. No, I'm not at all saying that. How you do things are equally important. But that becomes only a second question, because why you are doing what you are doing is fundamentally important and it cannot be ignored. Just because everyone is doing webinar, if you're doing webinar, and how to reach to your customers if the answer is that I'm doing it through webinars, no, that's not the right way. Why are you reaching out to doctors? What value do you want to provide? And that's the question which needs to be answered. In the last 18 years, we have seen two kinds of communications or the content creation. One is very brand centric. People actually calling up doctors and saying that, please prescribe my brand, please prescribe my brand is this kind, my brand is that kind. And there is another content which is very customer centric. And I've put this word customer centric in a inverted commas, because somebody feels it is customer centric and you're giving it because you think that doctors want to listen to it, but it has only added to the noise. Taking from H2H marketing, Dr. Philip Kotler some time back was on Pharma State's platform. And what he actually spoke about, that marketing having two kinds of orientation. Sometimes it is very strong brand orientation, very high brand orientation. All you're doing is you're talking about your brand. And at times it is very, very customer focused. It's a customer oriented. What is true in general for marketing is absolutely true for creation of content. If you have both brand orientation at lower level and customer orientation at lower level, what you're doing is you're wasting your efforts. What you're creating is absolutely wasteful, because it's neither helping the brand nor the customers. If it is on the other side, if it is very high, then it is very high on brand related thing, then it is unwanted. If the customer orientation is low and brand orientation is high, obviously doctors, patients, or every other stakeholder is going to push it back. But if it is a way higher in customer orientation but very low in brand, what you're creating is inane strategy or inane content, because it is meaningless. It is not ultimately helping your brand. And every brand, to sustain itself, it has to bring certain benefits to itself. And therefore, if it is zero or lower orientation on brand, it doesn't work. And what is ideal is having right brand orientation and the right customer orientation. The customer does not want something that is too highly brand focused, but company thinks it is too much. If it is too much on the brand, on the customer side, it is meaningless for the company. One, because the company has no experience in that content, and it also lacks the brand purpose. It questions the sustainability of the brand. So rightfully, it has to have the best balance between the two. And here comes our first rule in content creation, that content must be related to customers' problem that brand value proposition is solving. It is about your experience in that zone. It is the content has to be about around your expertise. And yes, of course, it has to solve the customer's problem, because at the end, it has to be accepted, liked, and engaging and valued by the customer. Let me explain this concept a little bit more. This is very important for the countries like India, that where the pharma industry is very different from Western world. In countries like India, if you have great medium of reaching out to customers, but if you don't have great content, it is of no use. But if you have great medium, great content, but if it is not bearing its value on the brand, again, it is not of great use, because for every molecule in the market, there are 100 brands. And if your content is very generic about the molecule, about the drug, about the therapy, remember, it's going to help the market leader. So if the 10th brand in the market creates content concerning molecule and the benefits and the drug, the benefit is going to go to the market leader. And hence, I really take this point from Dr. Kotler, who says that don't create inane marketing or wasteful marketing or unwanted marketing strategies. Create something that's ideal, having both brand and customer orientation. In my book, I have talked a lot about creating value propositions for brands. And that entire value proposition is based on the customer's need and what customer wants. And that's the fundamental principle. So content is never about the product. It is about the value that you're providing. And again, value is not about the product. It is about the solution that you're giving. Many years back, I came across this line, which Professor Levitt has said, that people don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill. They want a quarter-inch hole. In the similar corollary in our industry, patients don't pay for the prescription. They pay for the solutions to their problems. And therefore, fundamentally, physicians are interested in solutions to the problems their patients are facing. And solutions are about people. So when the product might be at the center, and often it is at the center of this solution, the services that get created, the experience company has, or the experience brand has, the skills that people have within the company to solve the problem, and the knowledge that they have together create solution. When we talk about diabetes, hypothetically, we are not talking to diabetics. We are talking to the people having diabetes. So the solution with the anti-diabetic product also lies with the kind of lifestyle they have, with the kind of knowledge company has to deal with patients who cannot manage their lifestyle. What do you do? Maybe company has experience in creating patient profiles. How can a doctor treat a patient with a diabetes who probably is traveling 25 days in a month and probably is eating hotel food, a restaurant food? He has no option. Doctors are looking at these kind of solutions. They deal with people. They don't deal with the diseased bodies alone. And a company which has mastery in that particular therapy area can provide this solution because it has the domain knowledge. And that's what I'm talking about, creating solution and delivering those solutions either through content or any other form. So during COVID times, it often happened that a lot of people went, a lot of salespeople and pharma companies told doctors that, look, hey, we have, this brand available. The idea was that my brand objective is to keep brand top of mind and get prescriptions. And therefore, there were unnecessary calls at times just to tell the doctors that, look, hello, I'm so-and-so and my brand is available and please prescribe my brands. I actually keep talking to a lot of doctors and we create a lot of market research reports. And one of that really became pretty viral. every doctor I was talking to was saying that please tell pharma companies not to call me and tell me, okay, I'm so and so and my brand is available. Provide at that time, some doctors even said that I'm interested in understanding COVID management, but not from a company who has no credibility in that area. And this was particularly, I remember, was said in by one endocrinologist. And this is the report I was talking about, understanding HCPs in COVID-19 perspective. Another pediatrician said that they conducted a webinar on cough. Now what new will I learn about cough? And she said that therefore I'm not staying engaged with these pharma companies, because either they should talk about their area of expertise in terms of the therapy area, or they should give me something new, very relevant. And that's why they were not staying connected. So the solutions, when I ask these doctors, what solutions do you need, particularly during COVID times? What is it that's bothering you? This particular endocrinologist who said that I'm interested in COVID, but from a company probably who has credibility in that particular area, said that, look, if you're selling anti-diabetic to me, do tell me how I should change the medications of my diabetic patient who is recovering from COVID or who is suffering from COVID. What should be the dose adjustment? Should I reconsider the therapy? The questions were like, how do I avoid hypoglycemia during COVID infection? They all know about hyperglycemia, which is caused by COVID infection, but the issues are also about hypoglycemia. They want to know more about it. Another very important part, they said, is that how do I manage my patient remotely when my patient is not coming to my clinic, or I don't want the patient to risk his own life or my life? The biggest question they all had, that how do I stop my patients from changing their doctors? Lot of doctor shopping or convenient doctor reaching happened around that time. These were their real issues. Their issues were also to tell their patients how they can exercise at home if the entire city is in lockdown. How would they reduce their stress? What traditional food they should, impact it would have on diabetes. This was very funny. The doctor said that, I want to know what impact amla has on sugar levels, because all my patients are only eating amla fruit. There's gooseberry. If you know this, amla is what's said in Hindi, gooseberry is in English. Or giloy is another herb people were consuming, and there were reports saying that it has certain effect on blood glucose levels. So these are the questions they had in their mind, and content could be easily created around it, which will be valued by them. So there are many more solutions. This was just one interaction I had with a group of endocrinologists, and it very sounded similar what they were talking, and that's why I have put it here. But there are so many other solutions needed. It's important to stay aligned to the brand domain expertise and create those brand value that you're bringing to the table, and the customer's need should be aligned to each other. So need to know your doctors, your patients, and your stakeholders. And then through your brand value, you should start creating content for them. Rule number 2, very equally important, that content must appeal to the customer personas. Now, what are personas? All of you must be knowing that personas are semi-fictional character. They represent that particular doctor category or a segment or a small group of doctors. And generally it is based on customer journeys. Every customer goes through this journey that you are aware of a brand, then that brand appeals to you, you start asking questions about it, and then happens the prescription and the repeat prescription. And customer persona changes as per the stage in that journey. As per that particular stage in journey, there are certain pain points the customer would have and certain solutions he or she would require. So the question here is that what will happen if we offer a salad dish to lion? Obviously, the lion is not going to like it. Rather, he would eat us. Same is the thing with our customers. Depending on what stage of journey he or she is, they want content as per their requirement, as per their liking. And if they get content which is not as per that, then obviously that becomes part of doctor harassment. They really don't like it. I mean, why are you telling me something I don't even want to know? And therefore, type of content that is needed at every stage in customer journey is very different. Probably at somebody who is prescribing your brand and repeatedly prescribing, he needs top of mind awareness. So your content has to actually deal with that. Don't try and make them aware about the therapy, about the brand, or try to make the brand appealing to them. They have prescribed it. They are happy with it. They are repeating it. What you need is a very different content there. And I'll come to that, how it happens. Like I said, the content strategy of Western world could be very different, because there for any molecule, there is one brand because that molecule is patented. So when you talk about that particular molecule or drug, naturally that brand gets reminded. That's not the case in countries like India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. We have multiple drugs. We have, for a given molecule, there are multiple brands. And we have three types of brands. One is new drug, new brand. Another category is old drug, but new brand. Or the next category would be old drug and the old brand. And customer journey would be very different for each of these categories. For new drug, new brand, innovation, innovative molecule, all this awareness, appeal, and ask is the part of the steps in that journey. But for an old brand and old drug, where the prescription is happening, the requirement is very different. So new brand, new molecule, everybody is happy. The brand manager is happy. The company is happy. The medical representative is happy because he or she has a lot to say. The content creation might be relatively easy if it's a new brand and a new molecule. Of course, slightly more difficult in our countries because we are not the only provider of that new molecule and the new brand. But question really comes when you have old molecule, sorry for this, so you have an old molecule and a new brand, or an old molecule and an old brand. The quintessential question is, what do I say? How can a pharma marketing and sales team keep customers engaged when you have nothing new to say? And generally, we have found out doctors would say, okay, I know your brand, don't come and visit me. And this is not, I'm talking only about the pandemic. Even before that, I know your brand, but then they forget the brand. Tell me the brand name and you leave. They don't want to listen more than just, the brand name. Or some doctors simply saying, I don't even open the emails, or I don't even see WhatsApp, or I attend webinar only if there is something interesting, but then the brand cannot really connect with the kind of topic webinar has. So there is this difficulty, and how do you go about this is the quintessential question. So understanding customer journey and their need would answer this question. So this is kind of personas one can create. This is a very simple template, though it doesn't look so simple. But essentially it says that who is that doctor we are talking to? And that doctor means the doctor that represents that entire category or stage in the customer journey. What are his goals in his personal life? What are his goals with his patients? What are his pain points? What are his expectations? And importantly, what is his content preference? What are the channels he prefers? Digital channels, physical channels, offline, online, what is his preference, and what is his preferred time to consume that? And of course, what are those touch points? Your mobile contact through social media, or maybe kind of having a medical platform or networking site. What are those touch points? Where can you actually reach out to this customer? All that one can put together and create these personas. And collaborative efforts are extremely important between sales and marketing team, because personas will come alive when actually these two teams sit together and try and understand what are the pain points of my customers, or pain points of this kind of persona of my customers. So at the given stage of my customer's journey, which pain point can be resolved by the value proposition of my brand and the content created around it, so that customer achieves his or her goal? This is the most important question everyone must answer for the content to be engaging, relevant, valued, and being authentic. This brings me to the third rule. Having said that the content has to be relevant, authentic, and valuable, it has to be unique. Like I said, in our country, there are 100 brands for one molecule or one drug. How can we be unique? If everyone is saying the same thing, obviously there's not going to be much of importance attached to that content. How can you create very engaging and yet very, very unique content? Now, many times people think that content is all about education. Of course, it is about education. It is about telling something new and relevant. It works very well for new molecules and new brands. It can be about drugs, therapy, diagnosis, comparison, maybe the news that is around, and patient profiles. A lot of times for a new molecule, new brands, doctors are interested in knowing which kind of patient will respond better. Because doctors, like I said, don't only treat the disease, but they treat the person. And that person has certain profile. It could be his physiological, psychological, behavioral, or working style related profile, but they are really interested. So these are the areas which interest them through articles, news. I mean, medium is endless, format is endless, maybe white paper, emails and PDFs and, webinars, maybe conference updates and clinical updates. And that whole can be packaged together and there can be educational. But that's not the only type of content one would have. This is important, very critical, yet one has many other options. I talk to many brand managers and they say, look, I have lack of medical material. I don't have enough data. I don't have enough papers. And yet doctors are liking my brands. The brand is getting prescribed. But how do I stay connected with them? What do I tell them? What content do I carry to them? It can be in form of cases, which can be very inspirational. And one would say that this type of content is actually classified as inspirational, which essentially it means share the experiences of the doctors, maybe the cases, maybe the interview of those KOLs who have used it. News, it could be in form of speaker program, which can be in form of testimonials or reviews by the peers. It could be experiences shared on webinars, community forums, or discussions. Again, format could be any. Importance is that what content strategy would you take for a given brand? There would be, of course, podcast and videos. I mean, there's no end to the format that you could have. The third type is old molecule and a new brand. Now, what I have observed is often doctors are equally interested in engaging with pharma companies so that patient outcomes become better. How would it happen? They want their patients to change their lifestyles. Even in the cough market, a lot of people think that lifestyle management change is required only in chronic therapies or chronic problems. No, but even in acute conditions, there is the need for this kind of patient education. What kind of diet one would have? Sometimes they want motivating things. I remember as a brand manager for anti-epileptic brand, I used to create content just to tell that the important leaders in the world or the heroes of the world actually who were epileptic, how they actually came over epilepsy. And that Eptoin was my brand. And that was the only content we created that time. The word content is more used today, but that time we used to just say that how those big cricketers who suffered from epilepsy came over it. And doctors used to keep those particular little printouts with them so that anytime they met a patient who was demotivated, they would say that, look, epilepsy can't actually tie you up. You can achieve your dreams. So the point I'm making is that the patient outcomes are multiples. They come from psychology, they come from lifestyle, they'll come from their diet, etc. But it's important that we give it to doctors so that they treat their patients and it becomes content for a doctor to share with his patients. Of course, the do's and don'ts of being, do's and don'ts of a particular disease and dealing with a disease. And of course, again, we have multiple formats to do that. Another type of content for old molecule and old brand is business outcomes for our key stakeholders. There are so many doctors today, they are going through tremendous stress because there is professional stress, the finance that they have to manage, the medical legal things that they are really interested in. They want to stay connected with their peer groups, but there is no time. Actually, this is a very important thing. One of the doctors told me, he said that we are the businessmen, but without any formal business management knowledge. We have no idea. We are running hospitals, we are running our setups, and there is so much that ties us up. We would like to understand more about how to deal with finances. We would like to know how to stay connected with our patient on social media. We would like to know digital ways of learning things. And that is how they would, I'm sorry if I'm using this word business, but in the end, they want to run their own practice in a manner that they do it in a very balanced way. The other thing that these doctors told me when I was doing this entire research, they said that who says that, we don't have personal needs? We would love to get something so that our stress reduces. This was one of the very, very important thing doctors kept on saying, that there's so much of stress, and particularly during pandemic, it actually went up. They said we want to know little more about something that is we are passionate about. They wanted to learn about, I talked to doctors who said, husband and wife both said that we want to learn cooking, we want to know how to do gardening. So there were a lot of interest, and if you have your personas correctly done, you know what their expectations, where your doctors are, you can actually create content as per their liking. And of course, networking. So 83% of the doctors in that survey we did said that we are stressed and we would welcome help. And it was such an open request. And the question to them was, what would you want pharma companies to do for you? So these were some of the things. And of course, who says that content can't be entertaining? Who says that doctors can't laugh? Who says doctors don't like entertainment? In fact, this one particular cup I had seen with one doctor who had kept it, in his on his table, which says that top 8 reasons why I want to be a doctor. I hate to sleep. I love to stay in school forever. Nobody can read my handwriting. My father had extra money. So they, in their own way, they laugh, they share their jokes with them. So look at any WhatsApp group of doctors, and thankfully I'm part of quite a few such WhatsApp groups. The kind of conversation happens there. In the end, all our partners, our customers are basically human beings. They also like to be entertained. They like jokes, they like competitions, they like entertaining news, they like games, and of course they like music. We all know this quintessential, queen of topical content, and that's Amul Girl. Amul Girl always had something very interesting to say, which brought smile on the face of people. No harm any pharma brand wants to do that, but the way to go about is being consistent about it. So whatever is the type of content, that would depend on the stage of your brand journey, the stage at which your customer is, but very importantly, the brand and the content has to be together. It can't be in silos. And of course, it has to ride over the medium that best suits it. 5 quick tips and I'll end my session. Can anybody tell me which brand is this? Anybody quickly? Put it in a chat box.
Dettol.
That this is a Dettol bottle. There's a little bit of content created on every bottle, and we know this content has come from Dettol. This is actually, they say they are talking about all these COVID heroes and how they have actually done well in the community. This happens that we could recognize it because this brand's hallmarks are very, very intact. This brand, which has green color, the white color, its layout, everything is kept the same, and they have just removed the brand name from there. So each content piece must have consistent hallmarks. And remember, all big brands have it. In my book, I talk about these 9 big hallmarks. What are these hallmarks? Is the brand name, the logo type, the color, the symbol, the vocabulary, typography. Typography is the font that you use. Everything has to be same across your content pieces. It is criminal to create a content piece which does not have your brand hallmark, because then you are just creating something that's going to be wasteful. Next important tip is that make your content stackable. If there is the content idea, whatever is your content idea, make it stackable. Use it on your website, use it on your social media, infographic, podcast, video, white paper, slides, whatever is the format. You use it through it, repurpose it, because once again, consistency is the key. Pharma State has very interesting module on EFN. EFN is effective frequency number for each brand. For each content, there is effective frequency. There's something called Trivar Satya. Till you say things 3 times, they're not heard, they are not registered. Similar is the case with content. Just don't keep creating newer and newer and newer content all the time. Leverage your content idea. What I mean, don't keep creating. What I mean is don't digress from your basic content idea. Your basic content idea has to go multiple times in multiple formats on multiple medium, and of course it has to be very, very stackable. Make sure that there is content calendar. There is no point being very active at certain times and not being active, and this goes very important both physical and the digital world. It's extremely important that there is a content calendar and there's central idea of content opened up throughout the year in a format of a calendar. Very important point, don't try to be Google. You can't be. And what is the biggest difference between Google is that Google has all the information out there. In a way, it is kind of dumped out there. What one needs to do is to curate it. And curation is an act of creation rather than a mere reproduction or transfer of the information. This is something one must avoid, because today it's not that doctor can't log on to Google, but the busy doctor who requires very well very well curated information on his platter, which he can consume or she can consume easily. So it should be snackable, it should be small, it should be snackable, and it should be digestible. Nobody has time to go through rims of information today. Curate it, make it very, very easy to understand, easy to digest. And last but not the least, be honest. Every doctor so far I have been talking to has said that pharma companies give only that information or only that content which suits them. Please tell us everything. And once we know that, we'll only depend on you. And believe me, there are certain medical representatives, there are certain brands, and there are certain brand managers who are valued for this reason, because their customers know if it is coming from them, then I can trust it. The credibility, the honesty, and the transparency is very, very important prerequisite for content to ride well. So in nutshell, I would say content creation is a strategy. It's not an ad hoc tactic. There are three cardinal rules. Content must be related to customer's problem that brand value proposition is solving. Content must connect to customer personas, and content must be unique to your brand. Content must follow brand hallmarks. Please don't create any content which doesn't have brand symbol hallmark on it. And I mean that it should be recognizable, like that Dettol bottle which created content. Stack the content idea, make a calendar, be consistent. Curate the content. Please don't dump it on your customers. And very importantly, be honest. Honesty is the best policy. So happy content planning and creation. I'll be very happy to answer all your questions anytime now or even later. Would love to stay connected. And Swati and Satish, let's open the session for any discussion or comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Gauri, for a wonderful session of 1 hour where you gave us a lot of points to ponder. I'll take question, ma'am, and then we'll end because it's already 8. Mr. Arindam has written, to engage the old molecules of new brands is the most difficult task in present challenging condition. Engage the old molecules of new brands.
Absolutely. And that's my, probably I answered it saying that your content need not be only related to therapy and the disease area. I mean, who says doctors can't laugh? Create content, make them laugh. They are dying to laugh. Or the stress levels that they share are too much. Create content, create your unique identity in content and deliver it consistently. Like that Amul hoarding. I mean, I was fortunate in FCB Ulka, we not that hoarding part, but we were associated with Amul brand. And what every brand honestly does is that consistency. You pick up your content idea and keep adding to it. So if you are into any kind of entertainment kind of thing, what stops you? If your brand is fun, what stops you? What's your brand personality? I mean, your brand can be fun brand. So it entirely depends on how you want to build it. But of course, I mean, it's not as simple as I say that, okay, you create jokes, and that's not the way. There is a process, and the 10 steps that I talked in my book are about those 10 steps. What is your brand's personality? How you want to develop it? What's the brand image, reflection? But content can be entertaining. Content can be related to their business. Content can be related to their personal issues or personal things like music. Go on to Twitter, you will find so many doctors describing themselves as music lover. Those who are poet lovers. I mean, they're human beings. You can reach out to them and create content the way they want.
Sorry,
But
Gauri
that's
ma'am,
one very
I have
interesting
one.
question which has come, which I would like to. This one is from CR, and he says digressing from brand value and customer value to kicking and hobbies will go against the H2H principles. This is the question from one CR.
Okay, so let me answer this. Now let's see. We have so many brands in the market which claim to be friends of the customers. Okay, have you say haven't you seen the taglines? Now, why are they friends? They could be friends because they have easy dosing format, or they could be friends because they have lesser side effects. But the tagline could probably say, your patient's first friend. I'm assuming, I'm just giving you an example. Now, if your content is carrying that friendly thing ahead, and if that friendly thing is actually in 18 months, when so many doctors were actually locked up in the house, not every doctor was out there fighting COVID. If you had given them little bit of content with hobbies, and written there at the end that the true friend of whatever, so that's friend personality you're taking. It is no way taking it away from your brand. It is definitely not taking away from H2H marketing, because in the end you are weaving your brand's proposition, what your brand brings. And it's not just because you are saying it's friendly, but it's really friendly brand because it is less on side effects, maybe the new drug delivery system you might have taken, or maybe it's easy packaging, whatever. But that could be your proposition of being friend, and take it ahead through content.
Wonderful, wonderful, Gauri ma'am. And one very, very important remark from Mr. Pawan. Every doctor is silently shouting that they are ready to consume good content. Give them good content, not the go down of content, which normally pharma does. And we agree. We should not bombard them with the go down of content that, yes, sir, this is my scientific literature, and this is that, and this is that. What engagement will it create? They're just going to take that booklet and keep it aside, and the next day it is out of their office. So be there with a content strategy, with a good form of content. I really reiterate what Mr. Pawan
Yeah,
said.
fantastically said, Pawan. I think you have really said it so beautifully. That's the crux of the whole thing.
Okay, one compliment to you, Gauri ma'am. It's like a refresher for me after reading your book, The Perfect Pill. Thank you, and thank you, Academy.
Thank you so much.
Okay, from Mr. Hemant Upasni, what makes industry to spend huge in print LBLs when maybe out of 5,000 LBLs distributed, hardly some 5% might be reading it, and rest is a huge wastage and it's a national loss. Agreed, Mr. Hemant.
Absolutely. I mean, from the bag of the medical representative to the dustbin, and it's a colossal loss. So that's why create valuable content.
And one question I was very fond of, I think Mr. Siddharth asked earlier also, how many doctors are really looking for solution? So Gauri ma'am, for you to answer, how many doctors are really looking for the solution?
Every doctor, every human being, whether he's looking at solution from you, might be a question. And what I mean is you is we, that might be a question. But is our doctors looking for solution? Absolutely. In fact, they are looking for solution more than any other consumer from any other industry would look for. Unfortunately, I mean, ask doctors, they are saying that there are reviews, Google reviews about me out there. I don't know how to handle it. That's the solution. Of course, they are not asking it from a company per se, but nothing stops a company from helping them out there and improve their own image. If you see the goal, of course, how does it fit into your brand value, and the brand proposition is altogether different subject in itself, but they are looking for it. Doctors are looking for authentic information on therapy areas. They are asking even pharma companies. I mean, I'm going in the other zone of the educational part. Do you think they are satisfied with the information out there? They are not. They want authentic solutions. That's why if you see webinar attendance, doctors attend only those webinars where there are credible speakers. Otherwise, they are not even if the subject interesting, they are not. They are looking for information. They are looking for solutions. They are desperately looking for it more than any other consumer of any other industry.
Manasta sir has commented, even a rural pharmacist who prescribes medicines are also looking for solutions. So there you have.
But they cannot prescribe officially. So, yeah, but I completely agree. There is absolute need for solutions across the stakeholders. It's not only doctors, the nurses, we have ignored them like anything. I have built a brand, I was part of a brand building activity, which was prescribed by nurses or advised by nurses. And unfortunately, we are not doing enough for that uh, group of stakeholders.
Wonderful. Okay, one question. This is the last question we can take, sir. This is asked by Mr. VPR Raghavan. Our content mostly is doctor-centric. What's your opinion on patient-centric content instead of doctor-centric content?
Patients, doctors want even the patient-centric. So two things. One is that, yes, patients want content. And they are also, so all of us know that the most served or searched subject is health. Now, of course, pharma brands are constrained by what they can say, what they cannot say to patients. But through doctors, creating content for patients is absolutely the need. You talk to any doctor and you will realize that how much they're suffering because they don't have wherewithals to create so much of content, also treat patients, also follow up with them, manage their other activities, give them required content. Luckily, there are a couple of areas where pharma companies have done a commendable job. And of course, one of that is diabetes and other is psychiatry. In both the areas, there's commendable content creation for patients done by the industry, which is valued. And Mr. Hemant Upasani said that some content just goes in the dustbin, but this content for diabetics and for psychiatric patient is preserved. Unfortunately, often it is only in the physical format. With the digitalization, there are so many avenues by which you can actually help. Another area where good content creation has happened is ophthalmology. So it's happening for the patients. What I mean is for the patient through the doctors.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
One question before I close, because I like this question. In current scenario, most of the companies want to engage doctors through the digital CMEs, but doctors deny because they say we have received 8 to 10 CME links every day. So in this condition, what should we do?
Yeah, so very simple fundamental of our life is that we are always busy for things that we don't have priority for. So if that subject of the webinar is not in his priority list, or if he or she doesn't see value in it, they're going to stay busy with something else. So the whole concept is that, like I said, that one pediatrician told me, they called me for a webinar on cough. Now, what new am I going to learn? That's the point. Doctors are staying away from webinars because the invitations are flooding their email boxes and every other channel of communication, and they're not seeing value in it. So create that content which is valuable and for which you have to talk to your customers, understand them, listen between the lines. They say a lot of things. Understand that. I mean, nobody will stop you. Today, every doctor wants to know how to handle a patient who is all the time searching for symptoms and diagnosis on Google. They want to know how to handle such people because it's very easy to say that, don't do all that, but they are doing it. They're questioning, and a lot of time is getting wasted. So, so the point is that don't have webinar about something that they already know or something that's not relevant to them. Create webinars on things which they really want to know and for which you have to know your customer personas very well. Talk to them, empathize with them, and you'll know the answers. That's my first, answer. Of course, deeper down, I don't know if that question can be more complicated and could have different answers, but this is my first response.
Okay, one question is there, whether a published peer-reviewed content is more important than customized or vice versa, or it depends on therapy.
This is very broad question, but I mean, the rule of thumb is always peer reviewed is more valued. But who says that peer reviewed should not be customized? Okay, what we mean by customized is giving it in a format that they want or he or she wants, largely wants. So, so I don't think these are two either ors. Peer reviewed is always respected, and it has to be customized so that it is, absorbed in a manner that you want them it to absorb, and not put it aside to read some other time, or just put it in a dustbin, a digital dustbin or physical dustbin.
That is quite a term that you coined here, digital dustbin, and we will do more research on digital dustbin. That's an amazing word that you coined. Thank you, Gauri ma'am. And thank you so much for a wonderful and great session today. We all take home the 3 basic rules of effective content creation, and also the do's and tips that you gave us to all the participants who are listening. And thank you so much, Gauri ma'am. Thank you, Vivek sir. Thank you, all the participants, for joining us today, and keep participating with us in these programs. We also learn a lot from you, and that is how we grow together. So this is all from our side. Thank you for attending.